Oh, hey, sweet. I will collect some information. Oh, what is going on, TikTok? Yeah, I mean, I've been going live for about a minute, my dude. You really got me, though. Oh man, it's That's funny. That's funny. Really funny. You should stick around though for a little bit. You'll see what happens. I've got nobody on YouTube. Hey, Michael, thank you for the follow. I thought you were already following me. Yeah, where to send? I mean, unless you're going to be at the thing in January. I liked O'Toole more. Yeah. Michael also liked O'Toole a lot more too as well, if I remember correctly. No policies other than criticism. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you're gonna be at the thing in January, I could just give it to you then, or I could always send it. There's not really much to send. There's not really much to send it from. That pic should be of Trudeau, not Pierre. Not a Trudeau fan. You're in good company because I'm not a Trudeau fan either. Oh, should he resign, Trudeau? I think he should step down if he wants his party to do better. Yeah. JB got an anti-bike lane person. What is it, Malik? What is it that you want to do with Trudeau? To each their own, I suppose. Let's see. Are your parents siblings? No, I'm actually not conservative in any way, so that doesn't apply to me actually. I read Pierre's policies. Maybe a couple of them caught my eye, but the rest is nonsense. Yeah, I mean, he's got some populist stuff on there that's supposed to apply to everybody. The chances of him actually implementing any of the actual good stuff on there, I think, is pretty low.
Not coming from the government per se, but the premier. It's coming from the health sector. Holy Christ! What was that?
Yep. Holy Christ. Trudeau should go to Guantanamo. Wow. Don't get why conservatives feel comfortable with a leader who can't pass a security check. Yeah. I mean, it's it's definitely politically motivated, that what he's doing there. So Kui was actually the winner of the t-shirt. We gave away a t-shirt in the last stream. And so Kui will be receiving that. Oh man, I'm so itchy now. Wait, oh, there we go. I guess this is people hate this picture too. I'm from Patrick Brown's old riding, and I'd never vote blue, but he's much better, yeah. And he was forced to step down from what we're seeing. You're okay with all the taxes Trudeau implemented? I'm not a Trudeau fan. I'm not sure what all taxes you're talking about, though. I know he's lowered income tax twice. Just that's routine stuff, though. Conservatives think anti-conservative equals loves Trudeau. Yeah, no, they do think that quite a bit. It's a knee-jerk reaction. I mean, I'm used to it. The carbon tax, yeah. I mean, I don't think it should personally apply to regular working folks, but from what I understand, anybody that doesn't use a lot of like fuel or home heating, like unless you're using a ton, you're getting more back than you pay into it, because it's actually revenue neutral. So the big polluters at the top are paying the most, and then it's being the rebates go down, so it's basically being transferred down to the lower users. So it's an incentive to basically reduce your emissions, right? It's a financial incentive. My face when cons don't know, they put in the taxes that they hate. Yeah, absolutely. GST, the Conservatives voted not to cut GST, even if it was just for 2 months. So they don't really care about reducing taxes for regular working folks. They only care about taking taxes off for the uber rich, right? Yeah, you do get the carbon tax for your home heating, but you're definitely, if all you're doing is heating your house and driving, and you're not driving like 400 kilometers a day, then you're definitely getting back more than you actually put in. How is it revenue neutral if it costs hundreds of millions to run? I don't think you know what you're talking about. It is revenue neutral. Conservatives are just cheerleaders for oil companies. Yeah, absolutely. Who's going to reduce our debt? The NDP. They have a good track record with reducing debt here in Ontario anyways. They were in power for 4 years rather, and they reduced the deficit every year. Yes, you just have taglines that you're parroting from your cult leader. Yes, that's always a sign that you know what you're talking about. Doug Ford is not doing a good job, my dude. Not at all. Revenue neutral means it recoups the cost to run it. Revenue neutral means that the government's not making money off of it. So Essentially, all of the money that's collected in carbon tax from the top polluters is redistributed, if you will, to the lower users at the bottom through the form of rebates. Yeah, the carbon tax the government doesn't make from money from, Michael. You've been misled. Canada is one of the greatest countries, larger than life. I will open up multi-guest. I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum. When we get too many people in here, it kind of gets hectic, and I'd like to actually have a conversation with people tonight. The People's Party is far right. Yeah, PPC is a far right party. Absolutely. Been watching House of Commons lately, and Pierre Poilievre acts like a child. Yep, absolutely. We only vote two parties, just like America. Well, I mean, you must not be paying attention to what's going on, because there's actually 5 parties with House seats in the House of Commons. You should not be allowed to spout your BS. So you're all for censoring people, and you're not for freedom of speech, Michael? Is that what you're saying? I hear far right. I'm excited. Yeah, well, I mean, that's because you're a child, Reese. You're literally a kid. PP is the only choice for PM. PP for jail. PP for jail 2025. I don't think that he's actually even going to be the Conservative Party leader next year, to be honest with you. What has he done that's illegal? I mean, he's basically bought and paid for by foreign governments. Keep dreaming, Michael. Next year, we're going to see, I guess, in October of next year, Trudeau bringing in too many people ruined the housing market. No, it had nothing to do with corporate greed at all, and the fact that 2% of houses are left vacant, or the fact that 20% of houses are owned by corporations. He has the highest approval rating. I mean, amongst conservatives, that doesn't really tell you much. Most people in Canada don't even want Pierre Poilievre. The vast majority, nearly 60%. I mean, look at the polls that everybody's telling me to look at, which I do actually look at, and I actually know what the polls say. And that is that the Conservatives have about 40% of the vote, which is not most Canadians. That's only 40%. Trudeau bringing in dental care. I mean, he was forced to bring it in by the NDP, but yeah, the Liberals and the NDP definitely worked together to get that one passed. The Liberals really didn't have a choice. Your public hair's caught. Drink 'em. Haha. What the Yeah, but 40% is not most of Canada. Most Canadians don't want the Conservatives. Where do you get your info, Castro? Hey, thank you for the likes. Appreciate it. Let's keep tapping those screens. We'll get more people in here. Gonna do a quick subscriber shout out. So shout out to my 16 subscribers. Just gonna pull this up on here real quick. So we've got Michelangelo, Grayson, Jesus Crepes, Sarah, Chantel, Sarabi, IOC79, Disciple John, Alex Brill 203, Aiden Summerfield, Charlie Vale, Quee, Rocky Mountain Stories, Eddie G, Ji-Hoon, and Kate Michaud. Thank you so much to all my subscribers. These are the stickers that you get when you subscribe. You can use these in the chat. We've got Elongated Muskrat at the top left there. the bee that almost took out Doug Ford. You've got Marx using mind control on the 3 raccoons in a trench coat, and then just me, laughy face emoji. Subscribers also get perks. We do t-shirt giveaways. Kui actually won this t-shirt, People Over Profit, with the star on the back there. Who are you voting for? Based on your opinion, everyone should resign. No one has over 50%. I didn't say that he should resign because he doesn't have over 50% of the vote. I said because he's compromised and basically bought and paid for by foreign governments. Yeah, conservatives are leading the polls, but it's not the majority of Canadians that want that. I mean, I've seen it go as low as 36% recently, so that's just a little over a third of Canadians. Definitely not most. What foreign government? Yeah, India. The Indian government. Yeah. Well, I mean, the RCMP's released that proof, right? They have information about the Indian government being involved in intimidation and violence against members of the South Asian community here in Canada. And those are people that Pierre Poilievre is connected to. There's videos and pictures of him at a private event with these individuals that he was invited to, along with only Conservative MPs. Seems to skip over text asking about Trudeau. No, there's so many going by that I can't read them all. I'm not a Trudeau fan, so. Not a fan of Trudeau. I don't support Trudeau. I don't really think that he's really even done anything good. My biggest criticism of Trudeau is his forcing workers to go back to work, breaking strikes, which undermines their ability to bargain for better working conditions and better wages. NDP polling worse than they did last election? Yeah, that's not actually true. They're actually polling better. And yes, I am an NDP supporter for sure. The Maserati Marxist, the latest tagline from the low information voters that only watch Rebel and True North media. Governor of Canada. So we get another traitor here, I see. Another traitor to our country here in the comments. Super pathetic to be a traitor to this country. I'm glad he can drive a Maserati while the rest of us struggle. Yeah. That's it's a little PP soundbite. Okay. Who is the traitor? Anybody that thinks that we should be annexed by the U.S. And encourages that is a traitor to this country and should be brought up on treason charges. I mean, NDP is actually fighting to cut taxes, not increase them. So, I mean, you're obviously not paying attention. Pierre Poilievre voted to not cut taxes, which was a plan by the NDP, which they would have made permanent. But Pierre Poilievre doesn't want anything that isn't his idea to pass. Anything that would be good for regular working folks in this country. What's my opinion on the carbon tax? I think that most people get more back than they put in. I would rather regular working folks not even pay the carbon tax, but that would also mean that they don't get the rebate. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that one. We do need some sort of carbon pricing. Otherwise, we will miss out on all sorts of trade deals with people in Europe. And also, we would be subject to carbon tariffs because of that. So if you think that the Conservatives wouldn't have some sort of carbon pricing, that you're incorrect. They will, for sure. Canada is not beyond carbon neutral. That's a myth that's been perpetuated by oil and gas companies. If you actually look into it, that's not true at all. Let the block take over for a year. Why is everybody obsessed with the block? The block is shit. The Pierre will have poor people taxing. Yeah, that's exactly. He doesn't care about cutting taxes for regular working folks. He only cares about cutting taxes for the rich and the wealthy. If you tax the rich like crazy, they will leave, move their businesses to China, Mexico. I have some news for you there, Draven. They've already moved everything there. We barely manufacture anything here anymore. Yeah, that won't spice it up. That'll just ruin everything, because they would just separate Canada or Quebec from Canada, and then we would be even less united. That's the stupidest argument I've ever heard. No one is moving the business. Yeah, trickle-down economics doesn't work. Hey, thank you for the ice cream. Appreciate it. I don't think Trudeau is doing good. I obviously have to repeat this over and over again because people come in late, I guess, all the time. I'm not a liberal or a liberal supporter or a Trudeau supporter in any way. Ontario has a massive car industry. That's nice. But I mean, we definitely do not manufacture as much as we used to in the past. And that's because of everybody moving all of the manufacturing to places like you said, like Mexico or China. Is there an echo in here? I don't know. I hope not. Oh, you're talking about, yeah, repeating. Are you prepared for the coming election? The coming election, the election federally is not going to happen until next October. It's cheaper for labor there. That's it. It's not the taxes that they care about. It's the labor. Abdul, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Would I vote for Trudeau again? I don't vote for Trudeau. I don't support Trudeau. So your question doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So your solution to make them want to move more? No, I just don't think you understand Draven at all. Maybe you're young or something, but that's not what happens at all. If things stay on track, the Conservatives will win a majority government. Yeah, that's the thing, is that things aren't going to stay on track, my dude. They're going to come out with the foreign interference report. Look at how upset Pierre Poilievre looks recently, how tired he looks, how he runs away from questions. Something's up. He's not getting his security clearance, and that's for a reason, right? Do you think the Tories should defund the CBC? Well, I mean, they want to. They definitely want to. I don't think it's a good idea. I think that we need some news sources in this country that aren't profit driven. Because when you have news that's basically only profit driven, all you're going to get is clickbait shit, and you're not going to get any actual journalism. Just look at Rebel Media, like, stuff's nonsense. They're not even allowed a press access pass because they don't actually uphold the journalistic standards. Singh made a deal with Trudeau because he knows he'll never win an election. Yeah, no, I don't think you actually know what the supply and confidence agreement was all about. Yeah, if we lower taxes for regular working folks, I would be behind that. Not lowering taxes for businesses who already don't pay enough taxes, right? There's corporations that pay zero taxes. Why should I be paying more taxes than a corporation? Pierre is tired of hearing people like, he told you that. Pierre only wants to lower taxes for the rich. Yeah, no, exactly. But I mean, you've got all these bootlickers in here that have zero idea. They just parrot talking points from their cult leaders. So. So that's the solution, JMO, is just everybody should just become business owners. That's the solution. Pierre should resign. Absolutely. He's compromised. This latest information coming out from the Patrick Brown campaign, Patrick Brown's leadership campaign, where he was basically forced to step down because of the Indian government. When you raise the minimum wage, you raise everything, except for that everything's going up without the wages going up, my dude. So your point is completely moot. It doesn't make any sense. Squawk, squawk, Pierre for PM. Yeah, exactly. They just parrot. Yeah, it's 100% moot, dude. You have no idea what you're talking about. Who am I for? I'm for the people. I'm for the regular working folks of this country. And no, there's no political party that's perfect. There's no politician that's perfect, but there is one or two parties. I would say the Green Party as well and the NDP have been consistently fighting for regular working folks in this country. You defended bike lanes successfully? Right on. Hey, thank you for the heart, me. Appreciate it. But I mean, by all means, all of the people in the comments are welcome to come up instead of just yapping in the comments. Come on up and let's have a chat. You know what I mean? Hey, we got somebody. Oh, I hate that live show thing. Just gets in the way.
So I've made a couple of comments and you've responded, but you feel like I don't know anything and that I'm not paying attention, right?
Well, I can't remember what your comments were, so maybe just restate them.
When you raise the price of minimum wage, everything goes up.
Everything's going
So
up
if
without
if
minimum
everybody
wage going up,
fights
though,
for a
dude.
higher wage, what's that?
Everything's going up without wages going up. Productivity has increased since the 80s, and wages have remained pretty stagnant.
Yes, I understand that.
Okay, so then that's what I mean. Your point is moot because it doesn't actually comport.
May I talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
When somebody goes and fights for higher wages, basically the same day that they receive the higher wages, the price of a McDonald's meal goes up even more. So even though you've got a higher wage, it costs you an hour and a half to pay for the meal that used to cost you an hour. So how does it work when you say that I don't know what I'm talking about?
It doesn't actually go up that much. It doesn't. Based on all of the evidence that we have, there's places there's places in Europe where they pay McDonald's workers a lot more, and the prices are comparable. They're not.
So every single time that you pay a worker more, our groceries cost more. Every time you pay,
it's
not
the pay. The grocery companies are making record profits right now. That's actually what's causing the prices to go up, is that they're price gouging us.
Big box stores, all the big box stores, yes. All the corporate monsters, yes. Not the mom and pop stores, not the actual citizens.
I'm not talking about that at all.
Not the people that are fighting for a decent surviving rate. Not someone like me who owns his own business and is getting sick of people like yourself who think that I don't know what I'm talking about. Every single time somebody asks
when you actually talk and the things that you say don't make sense.
After I go and have to pay my worker more money, it means I have to charge you more.
You don't have to. You could take a hit to your profit, and that's the whole point. Is that we
I
need to
don't make a
introduce some
profit.
sort
That's
of
the problem.
regulations. Well,
Your-
then you
your corporate
then your
monster-
business model sucks, dude, and you shouldn't be in business if you're not making a profit,
So
right?
if I work for the people and I like helping people and I make very minimal profit because I like helping people, then I'm the fucking stupid person. Sorry for my French, but you don't make sense
No,
because you support someone.
your
support
business model
someone that
sucks
goes
if
out
you're
and
not
charges
allowing
them.
yourself
No, my
profit
model
margin,
doesn't
right?
suck.
So you're telling me you don't make any profit?
My human compassion does not suck. My compassion for fellow citizens does not suck. My interest in the fellow neighbor does not suck. When all you do is talk about profit, that's not what a government is for.
What are you in business for then? Why are
A
you
government
in business?
is there. A government is there to help people get through life. They're not there to profit. They are there to distribute the money they are given from us in a way that
To
helps
social
us.
services, not to private interests.
Not to social services.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to social services.
Why are you in business if not to make a profit?
I'm in business to survive. I'm in business to feed a family. I'm in business
to make a
my
profit,
kids.
right? That's exactly.
You're in business
that's why you're,
to survive. Period. That's what people.
And how do you get the money to survive? You get it from profit, right?
You get it from paying. If I go and plant a garden and I sell my stuff, it's the same thing as basically taking a horse and going and trading it for a tractor. It's not profit, it's survival.
No,
When you
if you go and plant a garden, you're the worker. You're not the business owner in that scenario.
King and Queens divide and conquer rule. That's all this is based on. You keep on talking about Pierre and NDP and liberals and everything else. We have never, ever once got a chance to vote for a king and queen. They keep on ruling the land. They put in a puppet show, and everybody goes and fights over the stupid idiots that basically think that they're actually governing a country. They don't have a clue. They don't even do anything except divide and conquer. They make people fight like you and I.
So,
you don't pay
well, no, you're a business owner. We're not the same. You just said you're a business owner, right? And the point of being in business is to make a profit.
I make work for myself because I don't like corporate giants. I don't believe in big box stores. I don't believe in what they did during the whole pandemic thing when people like mom and pops don't actually get to open their stores, but big box stores that have incubators flowing through their stores that basically take out the breath of everybody, throw it through a heated incubator and pump it back out, get to stay in business, where a mom and pop that cleans up their own mess doesn't. So please don't tell me that I don't see what's going on. Please don't tell me that.
I mean, you're kind of rambling a bit, but like, you don't have employees then?
No, I'm self-employed. I work for me. I work by me.
You were just let me talk for a second here. At the beginning, you said that if you had to raise the wages for your workers, then you would have to put up your prices. Okay, but why did you say that then? Because
every single time
you were lying, is what you're saying.
Every single time I have an employee, when I have to go and raise the wages, I can't afford to provide the services that I want to provide. I can't afford to keep my profit margin, which is basically at a survival rate.
So you do make profit, and that profit is what you're saying you're using to survive
You turn and twist my words around all the time to make
It's not turning and twisting, dude. You make a profit. You're a business owner. You just said that. Have you ever had an employee?
When you make a wage, you're making a profit. When you tax somebody, you're profiting. When you do every single thing, if you go and open a lemonade stand, you're profiting. So yes, I get it. Profit, profit, profit. But that's not the point.
That is the point of business. That is the whole point.
Yeah, so basically you want to go and fight over this jag meat and all these liberal and everything else when basically Pierre goes and talks about the fact that if you take a loaf of bread and it costs you so much money and then you go and double the prices that ingredients and it costs you twice as much to make that loaf of bread
Why are the price of ingredients doubling?
because you charge more carbon tax, you charge more this tax, you charge more that tax.
Carbon tax. The effect of carbon tax on pricing is 0.1 to 0.2%. It's not doubling it.
Yeah, well, the carbon
Because you have to
tax and you
spread
add
it
that
out
to
across the
GST.
entire delivery.
You go and you take the whole entire river, which is the truck that drives it to the store, the person that delivers it to the store, then the person that picks it up from the delivery driver, then the one that puts it into the bread,
I
and the
know
one
that
that
this
makes
all
the.
makes sense in your head, but economists have actually looked at this and they've told us that it's a 0.1 to 0.2%
Yeah, well,
increase.
then why is Pierre
I'm
so?
going to
Why
trust
is
economists
Pierre
over
so?
some random guy in TikTok. No offense.
I'm not on just random guy on TikTok.
You are a random guy
How
on
old are you?
TikTok. I don't
By any
have.
chance? By any
Sorry?
chance, how old are you?
40?
I said, how old are you?
I'm 40. How old are
40.
you?
How many kids do you have?
3.
How many grandkids do you have?
None.
I've got 3 kids with partners and 12 grandkids. So
Okay.
I
How
kind
old
of
are
pay
you?
attention to life. I'm 57.
You're 57. Damn.
I've actually watched what happens when there is no internet. I've actually watched and was raised
You
without
don't sound
internet. I
57.
actually
You sound like
worked.
22, to be honest.
I don't care. You can look up 1967. It's the same age as Canada.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for coming up. I do have to let you go because I'm going to let somebody else up, but I appreciate your perspective. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with
all
us.
the way.
That guy is not 57. What a fucking liar. Anyways. All right. Let's let the next person in. Hey, what's up? How old are you, and who are you voting for?
Sorry, you just cut out there. Go again.
Oh, I said, how old are you, and who are you voting for, and why?
I'm 18 years old, and I'm gonna vote for Pierre.
Okay, and why is that?
Overall, I'm tired of the cost of inflation. I'm tired of the cost
Dude,
of
you're
things
18.
being nowadays. Um, yeah, overall, I think life will be so much better with Pierre.
Okay.
Why are you voting for? Who are you voting for?
I'm voting NDP for sure. Because they're the
And
only
why
party
are you
that
voting
actually
NDP?
represents the interests of working people in this country.
What do you do for work?
I'm in protective services. I work in a hospital, so I
In a hospital?
protect medical staff and doctors, visitors. I'm trained in use of force, verbal de-escalation, mental health, etc., etc.
Are you a homeowner?
Yep. Are you?
I'm not a homeowner.
Okay.
Nope. And that's why I'm voting Pierre is because housing costs are through the roof. The taxes on buying a house are through the roof. Trudeau doesn't know how to build the homes. He doesn't know how to fix the budget.
So there's the housing accelerator plan. Okay, I'm not like, dude, we've all heard the sound bites. You don't need to just keep parroting sound bites. So Pierre Poilievre won't allow his Conservative MPs to access funds that they want to access from the Housing Accelerator Fund, which would help to actually build homes.
But has he done that in his 8 years?
What's that?
Has he done that in his 8 years?
There is something called the Housing Accelerator Fund that exists right now that MPs can take advantage of for their areas. And there's 8 Conservative MPs that have tried to access those funds, and they have been denied by Pierre Poilievre from accessing those funds and told not to talk about it.
I have a question for you. How do you feel just in your overall safety walking around, going downtown?
I feel pretty safe. I don't know.
Where do you live? You live in a small
I
town.
work in protective services, so I would have to feel pretty safe.
Yeah, well, I'll just let you know I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, and the
Yeah.
city is terrible. Overall, there's no. Sorry, I wasn't actually expecting you to accept my live invite, so I'm pretty unprepared. But there's no criminal system, right? People are
What do you
able to
mean?
just get out of there. People are able to just get out of jail. They're able to get bailed out whenever they want. It's destroyed.
So I only know really about Ontario for that. I do know that 80% of people in jail in Ontario haven't even had they're still waiting for trial. So like only 20% of people in jail have actually been convicted of a crime. Of those 80% of people that are waiting for their trial, they haven't even been tried yet. 51% of those people will be released with their charges dropped. So that's a lot of people that aren't even guilty that are being held in prison right now in Ontario. And we have a conservative government here.
With Trudeau's accelerated housing program, they haven't built a single home with it. That's just a little bit of a side note there. Not one.
You just Googled it.
No,
The fund is pretty new from what I understand. I mean, I don't think that that's the best way to do it. I think we should actually be building community housing from my perspective. I think that the Housing Accelerator Fund is just kind of a capitalist solution to a capitalist problem. But I know that those funds are available and that 8 Conservative MPs have been denied those funds by Pierre Poilievre. So Google that part.
I will definitely take a look into that. But overall,
cities are the ones that are responsible for building houses. So here in Ontario, what they have is they have a fund somewhat like that one as well too, through the Doug Ford Conservative government here. And what that is they're actually giving bonuses to cities that meet their housing targets. And municipalities are actually the ones that are in charge of that kind of stuff.
That's a good policy.
I mean, that's essentially what the Housing Accelerator Fund is. So it's the same idea.
It hasn't built a single home, and I believe there was a statistic that in order to accelerate the housing fund, it would take roughly about $60 million. And if they were to remove Trudeau's new $40 million buyback program to ban my guns where I'm a law-abiding citizen who has done the proper training, they could put that towards the housing, solve an actual real problem, rather than just dumping money into something that doesn't need to be fixed.
So you say that it's a good policy. It hasn't been around for that long. You're saying it hasn't built a single house, which, by the way, Pierre Poilievre never built a single house while he was housing minister as well either. And that's what his job was when he was part of a majority government. You know that he was, well, I mean, you were 6 then, so. Pierre Poilievre has a failed track record when it comes to actually building houses. So if we're going to talk about that, let's get the whole perspective here. You say that it's a good program when it's done by conservatives, but when it's done by somebody that you don't agree with, you say that it's a bad program. That's called partisan hackery, by the way. I mean, if it's a good program, it's a good program, no matter who does it. And if people haven't built houses with that, I can tell you that those 8 Conservative MPs, the reason why they haven't, and they've been asking for those funds to come in, it's because they've been denied those funds by Pierre Poilievre, and they've been told not to speak about it.
Okay, fair enough. I have a question for you. What do you think about the NDP raising business taxes?
If they do it on big business, I agree with it. I do know that they're all for lowering small business taxes, which I also agree with, and lowering taxes for regular working folks. So like things like cutting the GST, that was the NDP's idea.
Taxing the rich. I don't pay. I only have 5% in Alberta.
Yeah, tax the rich is a good idea, absolutely. Or even like a wealth tax would be good.
Why do
Even
you think that's a good
5%
idea?
wealth tax on anything over 2 million.
That removes competition. That makes business owners want to live somewhere
No,
else.
it
There's less
doesn't.
competition.
Well, I
Right?
mean,
It can
they
remove.
can move, and then we can nationalize whatever it is that they're doing. But a
There's a lot
5%
of
wealth tax is not going to. It's not even going to put a dent in them. There's people.
on
There's people
top
that
on
want
top
higher.
of the 40% tax already.
Carbon tax is not $4,800 for a family, by the way. That's a
Yes, it
lie.
is.
No, it's not. No, it's
Yeah, it
not.
is. And the carbon tax hasn't
It's
reduced
not
carbon emissions.
unless you're driving like 400 kilometers a day. There's no way that you're paying anywhere close to that. I probably pay like maybe $1,000 a year in carbon taxes,
Carbon
and
tax hasn't reduced.
I heat with propane. I have a propane stove. I have a propane hot water heater, and I still there's no way that I pay more than $1,000 a year.
Carbon tax hasn't reduced carbon emissions one bit. All it does is just drive up costs. It's the most useless policy ever.
It hasn't reduced carbon emissions. Like people, it's not a
No,
financial incentive for people to reduce emissions.
it hasn't reduced carbon emissions. It hasn't 1%, 0.1%. It hasn't at all.
Oh, okay. I mean, people are paying to emit, right? It's something that we need as part of our trade deals with other countries, part of the Paris Accord. We need to have some sort of carbon pricing. Even Stephen Harper had a cap and trade system that he had proposed. We need it, otherwise we'll have carbon tariffs on anything that we trade with places in Europe. So I mean, we need some sort of a system. Pierre Poilievre's not going to get rid of that system. We're just not going to get rebates from it anymore. The average person is receiving more in rebates than they are paying in the carbon tax. That's just a fact. If
No,
you
I wouldn't necessarily. No,
No,
think about it.
100% you do, dude. You do. You can't just say no to a fact. Anyways,
Yeah, but think about it from a larger scale. You may get the rebate, but when you go and fill up your gas tank, you go to the grocery store, you go and buy anything, you go and book a flight. Like it's
yeah,
definitely going to accumulate
yeah.
more over the year
Even with
than your
all of
rebate.
that, you get back more than you pay. The
So
average
what was your
person.
carbon tax? What was your carbon tax rebate?
Unless you're like I said, unless you're driving like 400 kilometers a day and like just burning off gas straight into the atmosphere, like the only people that are paying more than they actually get back, like I mean the big polluters, right? Like oil and gas companies. And I mean, you're from Alberta, that's probably why you're being fed this information, is because the oil and gas companies are the ones that are paying the bulk of this, because they are the biggest emitters.
How much did you get on your carbon tax rebate? Because I just turned 18, so I haven't done that whole ordeal yet. I'm just curious.
I would have to look.
Rough
I had a
estimate.
business for a while, so a lot of my I get about 8 grand back a year from taxes, and it all goes to the government to pay the taxes that I had to pay when I had a business like 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, so that rebate though, like how much of that would you say, give or take, is carbon tax? Rough estimate.
I honestly don't know the full number of how
Let's
much it
just
is,
play
but
it
it's the
safe.
same per person, right? Everybody gets the same. I'll look it up just because I don't know.
Let's just say play it safe at $4,000. You don't think within a full year you aren't spending more than $4,000 with the trickle down effect of carbon tax?
No, and the trickle down effect that you're talking about is 0.1 to 0.2%. So it's basically nothing.
Every time you
It's
fill up your
pennies.
card, every time you go to the grocery store.
Every time you go to the grocery store, what do you mean?
The cost of groceries
The
are
cost
the
of
like
groceries
the
is
highest in North America.
it's 0.1 to 0.2%. The cost of groceries, the reason they're so high is because of corporate greed. The corporations are making record profits, the grocery corporations right
Where do
now.
you see that? Where do you see that?
Are you fucking kidding me, dude? You know all that other stuff, but you don't know that they're making record profits right now. Loblaws.
No, where are you reading that the carbon taxes only raised grocery prices by 0.1%?
There's economists. Economists have said the cost of carbon. So it's
30% is what I just found.
30%?
Yeah.
Per penny?
Per penny, yeah.
So 0.3%?
Yeah.
So 0.3, that's nothing.
How is that nothing? That's
Point
zero. That's more than 0.1. That's 3 times than more, which you told me. Percent.
I said
you must
0.1 to 0.2%. So that's 0.1 more. That's still nothing.
High.
So
what's
0.3% on $1? That's 3 cents. Or no, that's not even 3 cents. That's 3 cents on 1,000. Because I get what you're saying. The carbon, you pay carbon tax for gas, right? And there's transports that are driving these things from one place to another, but you have to spread out the cost over the entire shipment.
So why hasn't Trudeau regulated the grocery market?
Sorry?
Why has he done nothing in order to help the grocery costs?
That's a very good question. I'm not a Trudeau fan, so that's not a gotcha, first of all. Jagmeet Singh has done something. Jagmeet Singh has introduced a private member's bill that's to strengthen.
Don't even bring up Jagmeet. He's the only person.
Honestly, I let you ramble forever. You're gonna let me talk, okay? Or I'm just gonna mute you.
I'll get my point after.
Okay. So Jagmeet Singh has actually done something about the actual price of groceries. He's been in the House of Commons. He's been criticizing grocery companies for making record profits and gouging us. He's introduced a private member's bill to strengthen the Competition Bureau, to break up monopolies and stop price gouging. So he's actually doing something. The Liberals and the Conservatives have not. I will give you that. 100%. I am not a Liberal supporter. I am not a Liberal. I am not a Justin Trudeau fan. I am not a Justin Trudeau supporter. So if you say, what about Trudeau? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what did you think about Jagmeet voting against the vote of non-confidence to start another election up? Because
they're not in a hurry to have an election right now. The reason
it's because he wanted my taxpayer dollars to pay for their pensions and for him and his members of parliament.
Incorrect. The next election will be in October, which is way past the time for I think there's like 78 members of parliament that will get their pension in that time. The majority of those people, 60% or more, are Conservative MPs.
I just don't understand how you could support Jagmeet when he voted against the non-confidence vote, and you could have voted for the NDP.
Can I explain? Like I was explaining, the NDP is not in a hurry right now to have an election because they've just worked hard over the last 2 years, passing all sorts of great legislation like dental care, pharmacare, child care, the school food program, anti-scab legislation, and strengthening of the Competition Bureau. Only to have Pierre Poilievre come in and wipe all of that away, it doesn't make sense politically for them to allow that to happen. So Pierre Poilievre is obviously going to grasp at straws at anything that he can, and he's going to say pension, 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 when Pierre Poilievre is one of the youngest people in history to get a pension at the age of 30. He also during the time when he got his pension, Stephen Harper prorogued Parliament in order for him to get his pension.
Well, I'll ask you this.
But you were 5 at the time, so there's no way you would have.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a
Yeah.
young voter. I think I know more than the average person my age, but I will be voting for Pierre. I'm going to just say one last thing before I kind of let someone else have a chance to talk.
Yeah, for sure.
In a way, though, you kind of just proved my point that Jagmeet is more in favor of himself and his members of parliament than actually for the people of Canada, because majority of the Canadians want a new election. Majority of
Canadians don't want a new election. That's incorrect. Over 60% of people do not want an election right now. So that's the majority.
I just want to look. Where did you find that statistic? I would like to look that up.
Look it up. The support for the Conservative Party recently has been as low as 37%. That is way less than the majority of Canada. Yeah, 56% against. Okay, yeah. Yeah, 70%
Nearly half want federal election after NDP Liberal agreement ends, poll suggests. First article that came up.
Where
more Canadians want. That's from CTV News Montreal and then Global News.
What does it say again? Sorry.
Nearly half of Canadians want federal
half.
elections.
That's not a majority, dude. That's not most Canadians. Yeah, that's not most Canadians. Most Canadians don't want an election right now.
On City News Edmonton, the one that I just found, 52% of Canadians want a federal election.
Yeah, I mean, is that just in Alberta? That probably makes sense.
This is from October 23rd, which is newer than the other ones were back in September. So the new statistic might be changed. It's close, and I do think that we should have a new election.
Yeah, I know you
speak.
think, but that doesn't mean it's the majority.
And Jagmeet doesn't, because he'd rather... He'd rather favor himself.
No, he wants to keep these great legislations that they've passed over the last 2 years in place for Canadians that are already struggling, right? Things like dental and pharmacare. Things like dental and pharmacare are things that should have been part of our healthcare decades ago.
Why is he one of the only NDP members who vote against it then? It was his vote that decided it all at the end of the day.
It lost by 1 vote. I don't.
Why is it just 10?
I don't think that that's actually true, my dude. But I appreciate you coming up. Thank you so much for giving us your perspective. I am going to let you go now so that we can have somebody else up here. Have a good night. All right, let's see who's next. Who's at the top of the list? I guess I'll go by who's at the top of the list. Hey, what's up? How old are you and who are you voting for and why?
I'm a conservative supporter.
How old are you?
I am 43.
43, okay. And why?
So Jagmeet Singh is a better person than Paulia.
Sorry? I missed that, the start of your
Why do you
sentence.
think Jagmeet is a better person than...
I think Jagmeet Singh consistently fights for what's best for regular working folks in this country. I think that Pierre Poilievre consistently fights for what's best for rich people and corporations in this country. I also believe that he is compromised by foreign governments, that they were the ones that helped to put him in place. And the evidence for that is suggested by the RCMP and CSIS.
How you think, like, I don't know how you justify that.
Evidence.
What evidence? Where you?
So the
where you get your
RCMP.
evidence
So the
from?
RCMP 2 months ago, they released information to suggest that there is criminal elements here in Canada that are connected to the Indian government, that are doing violence, intimidation, and unaliving of members of the South Asian community here in Canada, who are Canadians. And as a result of that, we expelled 6 people from the country. One of them was the High Commissioner to India, somebody who has deep connections to Pierre Poilievre in the Conservative Party. There's videos and pictures of them at a private event last year, which was invitation only, and the only people that were invited were Conservative MPs. That is the connection right there.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
You don't have to. I mean, facts don't care about your feelings. You don't have to believe it for it to be true. And most recently, what came out was that Patrick Brown, during his leadership campaign for the CPC, was told to step down by the Indian government. The reason being his connections to the Sikh community here in Canada, which is who's been targeted mostly by Modi and his Indian government. They don't like the Sikh community. I mean, there's the independence movement of the Sikh people that is alive and well here in Canada. And that is probably one of the main motivating factor. Of course, Patrick Brown denied it.
But
He's a
what
good
I'm
little boy.
saying, Jagmeet is not the right person for that job.
Why is that?
Because if a Jack Layton would still be alive,
He would do the exact same stuff that Jagmeet Singh is doing right now.
Yeah, but Jack Layton
But
was
he
a
was
better
right.
leader.
That's why everybody thinks
Jack
that
Layton was a better leader than Jagmeet.
the only reason people say that is because he was white. I 100% believe that.
If it was Jack Layton, I bet you any money Jack Layton, if he would have been still alive, he would have got a majority at the
Yeah, but
last
that would have
election.
been years ago. That what happened was
Jagmeet-
Thomas
Jagmeet
Mulcair
ne-
ruined the NDP by
Jagmeet
trying to run to
never-
the center.
Jagmeet never will be the Prime Minister of Canada.
Okay, so now
Period.
you're just espousing rhetoric.
No,
Do you have any
like he-
actual salient points to make, or?
Like you think so? Like what they did in Ottawa with the truckers movement, that you think so that was wrong or not wrong?
What do you mean did to?
Like the convoy.
Yeah, so the people that were blocking roads and refusing to move and threatening violence on the government, they were removed. Do I agree with that? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a security expert. You have to keep in mind. So
Security on what way?
I'm
and
a
what
security
field?
expert. That is my field. I am a security expert.
And
Okay,
security.
and so
I don't.
let me tell you, if you were blocking somewhere that I was in charge of for security and threatening people, I would remove you.
So like you. So if it wasn't for the truckers, right now we would be getting jabs still.
What? People are still getting vaccines, dude. And the vaccine mandates would have ended at the same exact time. They didn't stop anything. The vaccine mandates were already ending.
Because the thing is, the government
They
had
had no effect whatsoever, dude. You're in La La Land
had
if you believe that.
a whole whackload of access supplied, what they ordered from Big Pharma. So they wanted that shitload what they ordered. They wanted us to.
So you're just up here to espouse conspiracy theories, is what you're telling me.
No, it's real. It's
Okay.
real.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll have to take your word for it because that sounds made up.
So you would then still
Aiden, thank
getting
you for the
jabs
tiny
if it
diny.
wasn't-
Appreciate it. Rawr.
So, you're here for the Dinies? Holy, you're a joke.
I'm not the one up here espousing conspiracy theories.
No, but you're here for the stupid little Dinies. So, I get a Diny. Whoop, 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 whoop. You're hilarious. You're a joke. This is bad
That's
as,
a little bit
this is
ironic,
bad.
buddy.
You're just as bad as saying
A bit
Jagmeet.
of
You're
projection
little,
there,
little
eh?
Jagmeet's little bitch.
Are you okay, dude? Like, genuinely. So people in the comments seem concerned.
No.
Are you okay, genuinely?
Oh, I am totally okay. Why don't you go and fuck your Jagmeet Singh and you fuck him like right up the ass. That's what you probably like.
You like thinking about that, don't you, eh? You just want to kiss me on the lips,
Oh,
don't
you're his little fucking little bitch.
But he's so mad. All right, let's go with the next person on the list. That guy's just angry, man. Hey, thank you for sending the tiny dinies to John. I don't know if you know this, but I actually get some of that money, so I appreciate you sending me money. Thank you so much. Blazer, thank you for the 11 roses. Appreciate it.
Hello.
Quee, thank you for the fest burst and the finger hearts. Hey, what's up? Draven.
Hi.
Chantel, thank
All
you
right.
for the heart me. Appreciate it.
All right, my age is 18.
18, who are you voting for?
Pierre Polyev.
Okay.
All right, so I have
And
a
why?
list here.
Holy fuck, you've got notes too. Jesus Christ.
I do. All right. So, first thing I'll talk
Yeah,
about.
you got your marching orders, eh?
32%. All right, so first thing,
Yeah.
what's your opinion on the military? Because, first of all, Trudeau and
Yes,
And
I would love to talk about this actually. Go ahead.
I would love. Okay, what's your opinion on the military? First of all.
I mean,
more or
it's
less.
kind of necessary, isn't it?
Okay, I agree with you
Yeah,
there.
and so my big thing with the military is that if we are going to send people off to conflict, we should take care of them when they come home broken. That is my biggest probably thing with the military. So go
I
ahead.
agree with you there.
Okay, go
But
ahead.
more
Well,
on-
conservatives don't.
Okay.
Because when conservatives were empowered under Stephen Harper, the supports just weren't there for veterans. I know somebody that worked in Veterans Affairs, and I mean, when you come back from conflict like that, you need therapy.
I did hear
And
that.
they just did not have therapy. They had to turn away people and say, you just don't have enough money left for therapy. You know what improved under the Liberals? Not a fan of the Liberals, but credit where credit's due. They have unlimited therapy now.
I agree. Harper wasn't great for it, but the only thing I want to say is right now, all the premiers came together. All the premiers came together and saying that they want to get to the 2% goal 2 years earlier due to United States threats of. Well, look at the tariffs already coming in. More tariffs could come due to military spending, and Trudeau and then Trudeau has now acknowledged this. Along with this, I want to talk about violent crime.
Well, I'm not a Trudeau fan, so the points about Trudeau don't make sense. Just FYI.
Sure, but the NDP has never stated they want to get to 2%, and they've often rejected and put down the military, saying that we shouldn't be on foreign missions. Like for example, like peacekeeping, keeping peace, preventing civilian deaths. Like that's what Canada's done, or saving people, like defending Canadian. Sorry, what's it when other countries?
Hey, thank you for
other countries when. Other countries when our Canadian land, other countries. I'm sorry, embassies. Defending Canadian embassies, defending even Afghanistan, Canadian lives, and other countries. And by rejecting the idea we should have a military, especially when Russia is right at our borders, when China, when China is a current threat, and when the United States has sent multiple letters saying how our military is not good enough. By the NDP just completely rejecting that idea that we even need a competent military is ridiculous. And
who said that we don't need military?
Oh, sorry. The NDP has never been in support of the military. They've never stated they want to get to 2%. And have they ever stated they want to get to 2% ever? Because we need that
information.
Whoa, have they ever
you're
stated
really hyper right now, dude.
Sorry, I'll calm down.
All good.
Have they ever stated they want
to get to 2%? That's normal. I can't really fault you for that. I wish I had that much energy still. I'm old man.
But have they ever said they want to get to 2%? Because that's you say you want to take care of the troops.
Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, which you don't really get a lot of in these discourses, is I don't know. I don't know. And I'm honestly, I'm the kind of guy that's not afraid to say I don't know. But I can tell you right now that if I don't know something, I'm going to look it up later or right now or whenever.
The other thing, and just to finish on that before I move on to crime, you say you want to support the troops, but let's say you're fighting in a war. If your gun jams, if your tack vest is terrible, if your camo is green is green and in a arid environment. If your gun does if your gun is rusty and you're still using 1911 pistols in modern time, then you're not defending your troops. No matter how good your veterans are, people are dying. So I think by saying that you want to help veterans and then saying that you're not going to actually help them while fighting the wars is ridiculous.
I don't think I've ever said that though. I'm just saying that I'm all for improving the equipment, and to give you an example, I wear a ballistic vest at work.
Sure, I'm guessing.
And I'm on the bargaining team for my union, and one of the things that I want to push for in that is to get better ballistic vests, because we have level 2, which won't do anything against rifles. To suggest that I wouldn't agree with increasing the quality of the equipment is not only just a lie, but laughable, because I literally push for the improvement of equipment.
Sure, I'm not saying that you personally support that, but I'm saying that your party supports that, and through that you are supporting it.
Do they actually though?
Well,
or is that just something that you're saying?
No one's going to come out and say I hate the military, I hate our troops. But by stating that they don't want to fund the military more,
right?
Anyways, I thought.
So I will give you a little perspective. I'm actually a member of the Ontario NDP.
Sure, I'm not attacking you. I'm attacking your party.
No, but I mean, the people are the party as well too. And so when somebody like me with my perspective is a part of that party, do you not think that I have some sway and that I could actually,
Are you a member of parliament?
No, you don't have to be a member of parliament to have an influence over the party.
To have a major influence,
no,
I would say you do. Anyways,
we have something called delegates to convention, okay, and delegates have a vote. Delegates can come up with policies and have them voted on. So I definitely have some influence in that way, because I am a delegate to convention.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to downplay you, but I don't think one person. Yeah. I agree that we should. I don't think one person who thinks that we should spend more.
But I mean, I don't.
Party.
I don't. Yeah, Modi isn't an MP, and he has a huge influence on the Conservative Party. That's true, Johnny. Yeah, I don't. I appreciate your energy and your enthusiasm, but I think it's a little misdirected.
Sure. Anyways, I have multiple other things I want to talk about.
Yeah. I'm just going to take a drink of my adrenochrome here.
Sure. So, you say how you don't support Trudeau, and I'm fine with that. Yeah. I wrote all my notes about Trudeau, but I'm fine.
Even though he's my 8th cousin.
Pierre? Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Anyways, so, the NDP made a big statement on the news saying how we're ripping up the agreement, which I think those are the exact words. We're ripping up the agreement. We're done with Trudeau. We're done. I think they said they were done with him siding with big companies. Then immediately after of them ripping up the agreement, they went back on the agreement. So what do you think of that? Do you think that's not directly conflicting their work?
They didn't go back on the agreement. So I explained this to the last, or maybe not the last guy, the guy before that. I can't remember exactly, but the NDP is not in a hurry to rush an election because of all the legislation that they've just helped to get passed for that helps regular working folks would be wiped out. So that's the reason why they're not rushing an election at this point. Was it a little bit premature to say that they're ripping up the agreement or whatever? I would say yes. That might be one criticism that I have, is that I probably wouldn't have worded it that way. But they're kind of stuck now between a rock and a hard place, because Jagmeet Singh does criticize Trudeau for his treatment of workers and forcing them to go back to work, breaking strikes, which undermines the ability of working folks to bargain for better wages and living conditions, or working conditions rather. But at the same time, if he was to vote no confidence and there was another election, and the Conservatives were to take to get a majority government, they would simply wipe out every single piece of legislation that they've worked hard to pass over the last 2 years. So there's no real rush. There's no real rush. They're letting it play out. They're giving time for them to build up to the election, which will probably be next October. So that gives them some breathing space and some time to actually, push all of the good work that they've done.
I agree. But to conflict off that point, you say that they've had the most power ever, and I agree. This is the most power the NDP have ever had in Parliament, in my opinion, at least since I've been alive. And now,
well, dude,
I just
you're so young.
I know, I'm not here, but I'm not here. But still, I can still criticize the issues.
I understand.
By saying that they have more power than ever, can't you say that it is partly their fault for not fixing some of the issues? And some of the issues are, 32% increase in violent crime. That's from Stats Canada.
Where's most of that? Where's most of that violent crime? So I get reports from CSIS, remember. As part of my job, I do get reports from CSIS. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that a lot of this violent crime increase that we've seen is ideologically motivated extremism. What does that look like? That looks like misogynistic violence. So like incels, anti-woman violence. That looks like anti-LGBTQ plus violence as well. So some examples that they gave were like the van attack in Toronto, where that was
like 5 people, not a shooting.
So you're seeing a big increase of right-wing violence.
I agree,
and that is the number one threat of terroristic violence in this country is from right-wing extremists.
I think you're missing the point by saying that all of a sudden that now there's just tons, and I agree, incels and people exist.
So
and
it's
crazy.
The increase has been happening since 2015, right?
So you think that it just...
So what happened in America in 2015, 2016?
So I'm sorry, can I just finish what I'm saying?
Go ahead, sorry.
So you think all of this increase is simply due to, and I'm going to talk about a bill right after this. Yeah. You think all this increase is simply due to, I agree, there's incels, there's crazy people, but incels make up such a small portion, and the people who actually act on the, because a lot of people are insane.
It's not just incels, it's like it's misogynistic violence in general.
I agree, but there's also like a lot of people, sneaking up guns, like there's a lot of, and to talk about that, I also want to talk about gun laws. So again, and this relates to the NDP because they have a lot of power right now. And you're talking about groups being attacked. I'm going to talk about the First Nations. The First Nations. Sorry, I'm just trying to find this here.
This is 4chan culture. Wow, 100%.
I have never gone 4chan before. I'm not.
No, I know you don't have to go on 4chan to be influenced by it, though.
Never gone 4chan. Anyways,
4chan, they started a lot of psyops actually that people don't know about.
Anyways, First Nations leaders rejecting gun proposals, saying it would infringe on their rights, and that's CBC.
Yeah, so, I know I'm not anti-pew-pew, so again, that is something that I would push within my own party because I have the power to do so. Yeah.
Okay. But this party,
I'm a leftist, and most leftists that you will encounter, actual leftists, and what I mean by that is I mean anti-capitalists. Most leftists that you will encounter aren't anti-pew-pew.
You talk about anti-capitalism. I want to touch on that more. So
I mean, we're talking about a lot here, dude.
Sorry. Okay. I want a few more points. I have 2 more points.
But I did want to ask you one thing though. So, if you are living in poverty, right?
I'm not living in poverty.
No, but if you are, it's a hypothetical, right? Mm-hmm. So, do you think that, if all of your basic needs are met, right?
Yes.
Because we fixed everything. Your basic needs are being met. Are you more or less likely to commit crime?
If all your basic needs are met, okay, I see what you're trying to say here. I agree that people do violence for those reasons, but I think to an extent people to an extent, and I'm not talking about racial groups or anything right now. I'm just talking about people in general.
Yeah, please don't.
I'm
We're
not.
having
I'm
a
just.
good conversation.
I'm not. I was just saying that you might assume that I'm talking about like certain communities. I'm just gonna say I'm not talking about that at all. I'm not talking about anything. Certain people do not want to. No matter what, there's always gonna be criminals. Certain people don't want to get a job. Some people don't want to work 9 to 5. Some people don't want to work, and no matter what, there'll be crimes. And I want to talk about another bill here, and this was passed under
though.
And yeah, but it still exists. I think by trying to say that all these
fine.
Good, I think by trying to say that all these criminals are just good-natured people who got caught in like a terrible thing, I think that's unrealistic.
I think like 90% plus of them are, yeah, absolutely.
But that's an assumption. That's an assumption. Anyways.
Oh, it's based on evidence that I see like in my 40 years on this planet.
So it's based off anecdotal evidence from you.
And what do you have that's not?
And you're right. I don't have much either, but your point can't conflict mine if it's both analytical evidence from one person. Now I'm talking about catch and release.
Debate, bro. I love it.
Bill C-75 is a bill that basically says if a person is assumed of committing a crime, no matter what that crime is, so it could be rape. Sorry, I probably shouldn't say that on your thing. SA. What do people say so they don't get banned? Whatever, pew, whatever. Basically, violent crimes, they are being let back on the streets because they haven't been convicted yet in a court of law. But the police, now, not every police is perfect, but 99% of the police are, in my opinion, are working in good natures. Canadian police are trained very well. I can't speak about the States. Canadian police are trained very well. I'm pretty sure if you would assume that someone, SA'd someone, that they did it. And by letting them back on the streets because they haven't been convicted in a court of law is ridiculous. Because what's happened is they've gone out and then SA'd more people. And that was a bill passed, because all the bills have to, because, the Liberals have a minority government. So that means all the bills have to be approved in some sense by the NDP. So the NDP approved a bill that allows, whatever, pewers and SAers.
What's the bill name?
Bill C-75. Bill C-75, nicknamed the Catch and Release Bill. Policy allowing suspected criminals to roam free. C-75.
March 2018, is that the right one?
I didn't check the date.
The one I'm having pulled up is an act to amend the Criminal Code, Youth Criminal Justice Act, and other acts to make consequential amendments to other acts.
Sounds right. To be honest, I got the TLDR because I didn't want to read an entire 100-page bill. But
reading. Let's. This isn't helping me, so let's do.
Sorry, Tora said that in the comments.
This actually passed. Are you saying that this is a bad bill?
I'm saying that it is a bill that an idea sounds great. The idea is that people who
passed while the Liberals had a majority government, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I'm wrong then.
Yeah,
I apologize.
You are. No, I'm just kidding.
But that is still criticism. I don't
even know what your point is. Not to be rude or anything, but
this bill, my main idea is that people who have been arrested for assumed crimes, are let back out on the streets on parole or
Okay. Like is that what Pierre's talking about, like catch and release or whatever?
I heard this, but I was curious more into what the actual bill was. Yeah. So I researched more into this bill, and the idea is that an idea, it's great. It's like like let's say someone's accused of stealing something, but they did nothing. That's why they're not in jail for a long time. They did nothing. Yeah. But the reality is that people who very, 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 very likely did the crime are being let back on the streets, and dangerous people are being let back on the streets.
Have the Conservatives proposed a bill to amend this to make it so that crimes like SA, they don't do that?
Well, you can't make someone. The Conservatives cannot control a dangerous person. If someone goes up,
but I'm saying, have they proposed a bill to amend this so that things like SA are not included in this so-called catch and release?
They've said the idea of removing the bill or removing catch and release. I'm assuming that's relating to this bill. Anyways, I also want to talk about another.
They could propose a bill to amend it if that was really important.
You're saying just identify those two things. Well, I think to an extent, criminals like if a guy keeps robbing people's houses, sure, he may not be dangerous, but if someone robbing people's houses, you still want back on the streets. In general, you don't want criminals back on the streets.
Well, so in Ontario, they're not just putting people back out on the streets. I can tell you that right now. 80% of people in jail in Ontario are awaiting trial. 51% of those won't be convicted.
So do you think that but this bill's a real thing? I'm not making things up. This is a real bill.
I know the bill's real. I'm looking at it. I pulled it up, and it was passed in 2015.
You're right. I was wrong about the date, but but this is still a reason why I support, because, and I'm not trying to be rude here, it is very, very, very unlikely for the NDP to ever actually win a federal election. I know they got close one year.
Okay, but that's just opinion. But yeah.
Okay. Well, have they ever been?
Yeah, they had 115 under Jack Layton. They won 115, then 103 seats. Yeah.
And you're right. I did read that, but since then, and under Jagmeet Singh, that's never happened. And it's also
Jagmeet Singh wasn't the next leader after that. We had somebody called Thomas Mulcair. Who basically tried to pull the party to the right, to the center, and basically destroyed the federal NDP party by doing so, and Justin Trudeau won a majority government.
Sure.
But thank you so much for coming up. I do have to let you go because I got to let some other people up.
Can I say one more point?
Sure.
Just about pricing. Okay. So, and this is more talking about more recent times.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to talk about, firstly, you were talking about about Pierre Poilievre being involved with foreign countries. So now, and basically getting involved in things he shouldn't have. So now Trudeau has improperly interfered with investigation into SNC Lavalin Ethics Commission, and this is what the Ethics Commissioner said. Mm-hmm. And now this company had ties to the Ghaffati regime in India, which is funny because you were just stating how India was, and the
Gaddafi
NDP
was in Libya. No, it's not India; it's Libya.
The article said India. I quoted directly.
They got it wrong then. Gaddafi was.
Anyways, so, and also, and another statement is that
Yeah, I mean, these are anti-liberal talking points, which I get it. You're very passionate, and I mean, I guess it's good to see young people getting involved in politics and being passionate about that sort of stuff. And I encourage you to keep it up for sure.
Inflation hit an 18-year high under the minority
and it's
liberal government, meaning that
at a low now as well too. What happened at the same time as that?
Well, what happened was the federal bank realized that they had.
Well, COVID.
Yes.
COVID happened, and then it caused inflation to go up worldwide, not just here in Canada. And we were actually one of the lowest worldwide. We were actually one of the best positioned worldwide when it came to inflation. I mean, credit where credit's due. And I mean, inflation's at 1.5% now, which is I agree, a super low.
If you want to talk about other countries, you could talk about how Canada has the highest housing prices in the G7. Sorry, I don't have my sheet.
What affects housing prices though? Could it be that 20% of homes are owned by corporations in Canada, and that foreign buyers are buying up homes and sitting on them? We have nearly 2% vacancy rate
Do you think? Okay, so I know earlier you mentioned my comment saying how immigration and I think immigration's great, and even Trudeau himself
Who was
said
begging
how he mentioned
for
that.
more immigration to fill jobs through the temporary foreign worker program? I'll give you a hint.
Yeah,
It was
but
conservatives.
the only I
It
understand,
was Doug
the
Ford. It
conservatives
was
have
Danielle Smith.
vastly sure, but are those federal? Those aren't federal. Those
Who's
are
in charge of
provincial
housing? Is it
governments.
federal or is it provincial? Or sorry,
But
who's in
the
charge of
federal
jobs?
government,
Rather, this is jobs. Who's in charge of jobs?
the federal government,
It's provincial. No, it's actually provincial mandate, my dude.
the federal government. Okay, can I just please say what I want to say?
Go ahead.
So through the federal government immigrating a massive amount of people, it's like, and again, immigration is great. It's great for our economy. But
Yeah.
first of all, doing that
Who are they doing it
artificially,
for?
They
were doing it for conservative premiers.
This immigration was done across the entire country.
You're almost there, dude. You just need to do a little bit more research.
I'm just let me finish. So
okay.
The thing is that we do not have enough housing for the rapid influx.
We do. We
have more than
1.3 million empty houses in Canada.
Really, we have 1.3 million empty houses.
Yep. I was saying, the vacancy rate is nearly 2% in most municipalities.
So you think that the issue is purely sure? So you think the issue is purely that
capitalism.
It has nothing.
Yep. I do believe it's capitalism. I believe that it's real estate speculators, people that are treating homes as if they were part of the stock market. Absolutely. You
don't think that it's artificial red tape made by the government here, if you want to talk about that, we can talk about,
No, I don't think it's that at all. I think that's an excuse. I mean, we don't build community housing anymore. We haven't for decades in the province of Ontario. Housing is a provincial and municipal joint responsibility. And so if there's somebody to blame, that's it. But I mean, I've given you a lot of time. I'm really, really sorry that I got to kick you out now. But I appreciate you coming up. Sure. I appreciate your perspective. And I no matter how much I rag on you, I do appreciate your passion.
I just have a final thing. I don't want you to respond.
I'm sorry. You had one more final thing already, dude. I'm sorry. I'm just going to disconnect you. Otherwise, you keep talking. You mispronounced on terrible. Dad bod. Dad bod's just going to agree with me, though. I'll have him up for a little bit. We'll say hi.
Howdy.
Hi. What's up?
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, that's what she said.
I'm still processing. It's just so they're arguing just like in circles of like points that either A, don't affect them, B, they're misinformed. It's just, they're just looking for, somebody to blame, and it's so easy to just kind of like hop on that train of everybody point the finger at the federal government. Like there was one of the other guests there, mentioning the carbon tax, and it's like how can they, debate facts without like having done any evidence? Like the Bank of Canada has come out and, done the numbers, like,
yeah,
how is a carbon tax affecting, grocery prices, things like that?
Yeah.
It seems that the carbon tax is like the number one thing that conservatives like want to go after, but it's such a small piece of the pie.
Yeah, well, I think it's because it has that pseudoscience effect. Like, how things like pseudoscience, when you talk about pseudoscience, it's usually things that make sense in your brain, right? You're like, this plus this plus this, oh, that makes sense. But really, when you look at the stats of it and you look at the evidence, it's not that. But it's really easy for that sort of stuff to kind of burrow in there and kind of stick, I guess, is what I would say.
Yeah, and they're all really legitimate claims. Like, people have very valid concerns about
Yeah.
cost of living and
Yeah.
economy and things like that. And it's just, going after the carbon tax is like, oh, I'm just like so tired of hearing that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a family of three in Alberta. Like
Yeah.
I went on, I can see how much I get in my CRA account.
Yeah.
I go into my utility bills.
Yeah.
And I'm like net positive, like a few $100s. It's
Yeah.
really, it's really nice. And, those people are like, well, I'm net negative because, I drive a big lifted F350 and,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Right.
good, then you should pay more.
Yeah. You're
Like,
paying to emit, essentially.
Yeah, like as you should, right? Like you want to
Yeah.
emit more, you should pay more. And it's just such it's so tired of hearing that point when there's like really like valid, things to be talking about, like housing prices and grocery prices, and they want to like, you know, relate the carbon tax to housing and to groceries and um, like a lot of these points, but it's just such a irrelevant number. It's so insignificant. Um,
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Like I honestly don't know what I get back. I need to check my CRA account, like you said, to see what the actual number is. I'm probably one of those people that pays more in carbon tax than I get back because I drive 140 kilometers round trip to work. So I mean, but I mean, that's valid. But I mean, I drive a Civic. I tried to get a car that would use the least amount of gas. I'm an old man, and when I went to buy a car, did the old man thing, and I looked and analyzed, and I was like, I want something that's going to last me a long time, but also not use a lot of gas, and so that's how I landed on the Civic.
Yeah, then that's like a really good option. You know, you were conscious about it, not, hey, like I'm commuting to work and going to the grocery store. Let me get the biggest truck.
Yeah. No, yeah. And there's in the city, there's so many people that drive trucks that don't even use them as a truck, right? Like they could just drive a compact and still have the same effect because they're not like hauling. They're not using it as a work truck. They're not hauling. Their beds are immaculate. Like I want to. Oh, sorry. I missed something. Hey, that's not an old man thing. I know. I'm making fun of myself, but yeah, I agree. That's not just an old man thing to look at, like longevity of the car and the gas mileage. But yeah, I associate that with my old manedness.
I think that's like more like of an old soul thing because like my first car, it's like you visit 12 different dealerships to, look at vehicles and you want to get like something, that's obviously, good for your use and for some people, they need that truck and that's, completely understandable, but majority of people that are buying that, like I'm in Calgary and, everybody's driving a truck just to like drive down, the Deerfoot and sit in traffic. It's quite ridiculous. And like just like on the Alberta point, like I moved here in 2015 from Winnipeg. I was born and raised and moved to Calgary in 2015 when I was 18. And it was like great. Rent was cheap and insurance was like a little bit, more expensive than the public insurance we had there. It was great. Wages were good. And then, you had like two different conservative governments come into power and remove the cap on insurance and remove the cap on utilities. And then, we have like no form of rent control. These are like all the things that like really are going to affect your body.
Fishman. There's somebody in the chat called Fishman. Poisson. I speak French. Yeah. And like BC compared to Alberta too for like auto insurance is insane right now.
Yeah.
I know that.
Like I pay just a little over 3,200 a year for a single vehicle.
Okay. That's in Alberta. Yeah, dang, and they got rid of the caps too. Mine is like 1,000 and some, and I'm in Ontario.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Draven, you've already been up. Sorry, dude. We're doing 1v1s tonight.
My personally, my insurance, like when that came into effect, was right at my renewal. Like it was like weeks difference when the cap got removed and my renewal happened. My insurance shot up like I think at the time I was paying around 2,400 a year. It went up to like 2,900 a year within weeks.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Whereas like normally when you renew, you expect it to go down, and the removal of the the cap on utilities, it's crazy. Like like I have a utility bill here. You look at like the actual usage compared to like the fees, it's crazy. Like you pay maybe $80 in like actual usage between your electricity, your water, your gas, and then your bill's $300 because the rest is just like transmission fees, city fees.
The transmission and the delivery and all that's all profit for the private companies that own the lines and stuff. I used to work in energy. I used to be a door-to-door salesman. I used to sell energy contracts. And so like I know pretty intimately the system in Ontario and how it works. And I mean, one of the biggest mistakes that the Liberals made here in Ontario is that they sold off Hydro One, which used to be public. And so now instead of the profits going into the public coffers, no, it's not towards you, Draven. I just saw my name, so I looked. I haven't been reading a lot of the comments, to be honest. When they sold off Hydro One, now all this money that was being made is not going into the public coffers. It's going into private profits for private industry, right? Which, I mean, our public money shouldn't be going to private. It should be going to public institutions. Should. I don't think that's really so radical an idea, right?
No, like, it's like nationalizing oil and gas and natural resources, and it's like
that gets me so rock hard. Nationalizing oil would be so good.
You look at like freaking like Suncor's like profits like per quarter. It's like how much, if those profits were just going into public funds, like how much more infrastructure and supports and social services we'd be able to like have, where it just goes right to private corporations. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, especially like you guys are the hardest hit out there in Alberta. As much as I don't like Doug Ford and what he's doing here in Ontario, it's definitely not as bad as what's going on in Alberta, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's quite
she's
quite
just
brutal,
openly spitting in the face of public health care and working folks out there.
Just trying to completely dissolve the existing healthcare. Like her whole campaign was like, I'm gonna fix healthcare in 90 days. And it's like, what happened to that? Like 90 days came and gone 10 times. I'm really thankful and grateful for our healthcare system. But like during the kind of the tail end of COVID, to get blood work, it was like 2 years some people were waiting, like x-rays and things like that. Like
that's terrible.
Like, thankfully the wait list came down drastically, but people are like, it's going to be about a 2-year wait list, and it came down. Like I was waiting usually 6 to 8 months for routine blood work, just to like something so simple. And that that was around the time where she introduced the private section of of lab services. It was horrible. It was a disaster, and they had to reverse it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Brutal stuff. So while you're up here, I'm gonna do another shout out to all of my my peeps. Let's play this real quick.
Not coming from the government per se, but the premier. It's coming from the health sector.
I'll never get sick of that. That's for sure. Yeah, big shout out to my subscribers. We're up to 16 subscribers now. Yeah, let's get those B's in the comments. Michelangelo, Grayson, Jesus Crepes, Sarah, Chantel, Sarabi, IOC79, Disciple John, Alex Brill 203, Aiden Summerfield, Charlie Vale, Quee, Rocky Mountain Stories, Eddie G, Ji Hoon, and Kate Michaud. Thank you so much to all of my subscribers. You help to motivate me to get on here every night and lose all the sleep that I do. When you become a subscriber, you're able to use all of these stickers that you see here. We have elongated muskrat at the top. We have the bee that almost took out Doug Ford. We have mind control Marks, who's mind controlling 3 raccoons in a trench coat. There's me laughing. There's a bunch more as well too. But yeah, again, thank you so much to my subscribers. I am blown away by the amount of support that I have gotten over the last 2 months that I started streaming on here full time. I work full time Monday to Friday, 3 to 11. I take care of my daughter in the morning from about 9 in the morning until I go to work. So basically I'm spending all of the time that I have left to myself here talking to you folks. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. Just the amount of support that I've gotten and the amount of, regulars that come out. This is the People Over Profit t-shirt. So Quee actually won that t-shirt. We had a giveaway once I hit 15 subscribers. And so that we did a giveaway. I'm going to be giving away 2 t-shirts once we hit 30 subscribers. So if you've considered subscribing, you get a lot of perks from that. You get the shout outs like you just heard, you get the stickers. And we're going to be doing regular giveaways for merch as well. Thank you so much, Sarah. If you want to get a t-shirt and support the stream, support me, I have a Shopify. It's now linked in my link tree. So if you go on my bio, go to my link tree, you can go to the products straight from my link tree. I don't know exactly how much, but a lot of those profits that I'm getting from there are going to be donated to the Ganya Gahega Cayuga School, because that is my number one. It's not a charity, it's a school, but that is my number one issue that I want to support right now. It's part of my own personal reconciliation journey. Dylan, thank you for the heart me, appreciate it. The Ganya Gahega Cayuga School, they help to teach and promote Ganya Gahega and Cayuga language and culture. We're at a risk right now of losing some First Nations languages here in Canada, which is a huge issue. And so schools like that and programs like some of the ones I've seen that I might sign up for to learn Ganya Gahega myself are going a long way to helping to fix that issue. So yeah, thank you so much. We already raised $100 for the school. We did that first, and then we raised another $100 for the food bank in Brockville, Ontario, which is near me. It's like half an hour away, but that's where I grew up. I was born and raised in Brockville. And so the food bank, they give away Christmas hampers, which have a turkey and a ham, and all the fixings like carrots, potatoes, stuffing, and stuff like that. So it gives people an opportunity to have a nice Christmas meal. Yeah, I'm so sorry about growing up in Brockville. That's okay. So yeah, thank you so much. Do you mind if I drop you down and bring up the next contestant?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, though, for coming up and talking with me. Gave me a little bit of a break from getting my cheeks slapped.
Yeah, round 2.
Yeah, here we go. I'm diving in. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. All right, so we got Dylan is the next one on the list here. Is that how I say your name, Dylan?
Yeah, that's not the exact way, but that's cool. That's fine.
Your
Dylan,
voice does not match your picture, my dude.
what do you expect me to speak like? Like, oh, hey,
You
how's it
sound
going?
like you're 18 and that picture's like of a 62-year-old. How old are you? Who do you vote for and why?
Well, I'll tell you this much. I'm not 18. Put 10 years on top of that.
28, so you're 28. Who do you vote for?
I'm likely.
Who are you
I'm
gonna vote for? Yeah, rather.
I've always been conservative.
Yeah.
But watching your lives, I'm actually considering to choose NDP after seeing your live. So I think you've tried to me.
I need like a bell to ring every time I convert somebody. I'm just kidding. Wow, you really edified me there. You're making me blush. So tell me why. Tell me what it is that made you change your mind then, I guess.
I don't know. Just growing up, I'm from a small town, so I feel like people tend to be a bit more uneducated out here. But the reason why I'm going is I've actually looked more into it, seen more people that are more progressive, rather than just being so stuck up in our own thought process. I looked at I don't know. It's just that the conservatives, they want you to believe stuff that's not actually real. They can just spit out anything. A lot of fear mongering, and that's why I don't know.
Agree with that. I do agree with you there for sure.
Very hateful. They make you afraid of other people. And I did go to school, so I'm from what's it called, Prince George, BC.
Okay.
And I went to Vancouver, and I met different walks of life. Different genders, different religions, different ethnicities, and it really opened my eyes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just the fear mongering and all that stuff. It's the biggest thing is the fear mongering and misinformation that's spread by the conservatives.
Are you religious? Do you have a religious background?
Yes, I am Christian.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I grew up Christian. I grew up in the Anglican church. So, but I am not religious now.
Mm-hmm.
But I do. I respect people's right to be religious, and I have a lot of religious family. My father's religious. My mother not so much. But I don't think that if you're religious, it makes you a bad person. There are some atheists out there that will say that. I don't agree with them. I think that
one thing
you can be religious and a good person.
Mm-hmm. One thing I will say is the church definitely it pushes. I wouldn't say it makes people conservative, but some churches will. There is that bit of a push. So you find that people that are like I wouldn't say extremely religious, and when I mean extremely, I'm not meaning in the positive way, but like very fundamentalist. They tend to be very conservative, and I feel like those views are pushed in some churches. I feel.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. I don't really have much experience, I will say, in in that thing. Like, I don't really have an insight into I don't go to churches and I don't really hang out in them. It's actually something I would like to start doing now that I'm becoming more political, because that's a huge reservoir of folks that should, anyways, in theory, share a lot of the progressive values that I hold. I truly believe if Jesus was around now, he would be a socialist. Definitely there is that extreme element out there for sure. And I think that like you're saying, that the hate is pushed and they like to stoke the fears amongst that population in order to rile up support, essentially.
For sure.
I love that your picture is like some really old dude, though. Kind of looks like me in like 5 years.
I'll say it this way: conservatives, if you don't feel fully up for Pierre Poilievre, one thing I will definitely say is, think about it, guys. Jagmeet Singh. I wouldn't say I was a racist. I would say more of an ignorant individual. I was like, okay, he's got a turban and he's got a beard. Yeah, he's, of course, he's a Sikh and whatnot. But it's just that bias I had. I was like, but one thing I will say is that man has done more for this country than Pierre has done up to date. To be honest. Guys, if you guys are thinking, oh, don't judge a book by its cover, look at what he's done with his actions. The description of Sellout Singh is also outrageous as well, but he's done quite a bit. His passing policies and stuff. That's another thing I will tell conservative voters, and that's another reason why I kind of trust Singh, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree that he's done way more. That's for sure.
And he's not afraid to speak his mind. You know, he's not a populist either. And when he confirmed that heckler, a lot of people give him shit for that, but I think a lot of people give him respect for that.
Yeah, a lot of people that were conservative gave him respect for that.
Absolutely.
I actually, so I do use of force training every year for my job. And the instructor for the use of force actually goes to the same gym as Jagmeet Singh. And he says he knows people that actually spar and stuff with him because he's a BJJ. He actually was a provincial champion at one point.
Funny how people are like, oh, if he was in front of me, I would have knocked. Just like,
no,
yeah,
they wouldn't. They would have ran away just the same. I find that funny too. And I mean, this is anecdotal, obviously, because it's based on things. The ones that yap the most are always the fastest to fold. From my experience, the ones that say I'm gonna do this to you, I'm gonna do that, they're always the ones that fold the fastest when you go hands on. Just FYI.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Stuff is shifting. The polls are definitely shifting. I feel like I don't know if Singh will win, but I feel like it's enough to make Pierre. You have that 20 to 30% that are going to vote for him, regardless. But I think there's enough of a shift that can, for Jagmeet, that's enough to not get Pierre a majority, but a minority. I feel.
It's absolutely true, Dad Bod. It's 100% true. The ones with the biggest mouth are always the quickest to fold. 100%. I mean, yeah, if it's enough for Pierre Poilievre, if we can get the polls down enough where Pierre Poilievre only wins a minority government, and then you have the NDP in the second position, I mean, then they can force the Conservatives to pass good legislation then as well too. You know, it's give and take, right? The Conservatives are obviously not going to, you know, just pass whatever they say, but
another thing with Pierre being a minority government is it puts fire at his feet. He can't pass things as he likes.
He has to work with other parties, which is, I mean, I personally think that's the ideal situation. I don't think that, especially since we have a first past the post system where you can get a majority government with 39% of the vote, I don't think that that's democratic personally. Because the majority of the country doesn't want you in power, but yet you have 100% of the legislative power. And I think it's a lot better if you're kind of forced to work with other parties. I think you get better legislation that way.
Even in Europe, it's that's how they work. It's very rare that a government wins majority, and that tends to be the better way. When you have one government that's a majority, it tends to... they can do whatever they want, and pretty much just like what you said. It takes, but it puts more accountability on them per se, though. If it's a majority government.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, for sure. Quee's like, where's my anti-bike lane people? Well, I mean, you kind of agree with me, so I'm gonna try to bring up the next person. I to be honest, I kind of did a little bit of judging, and I kind of judged you by your picture and thought maybe you would disagree with me, but I mean, I'm guilty of that as well too. I mean, if you looked at me and you didn't know anything about me, you would probably think I'm a conservative, to be honest. But
Oh yeah,
I just have to open up my mouth for like 5 seconds, and then you understand that I'm not. But yeah, thank you so much for coming up. Yeah, keep it up, I guess. And I mean, continue to be a voice of reason, right?
Thanks
I
for
love
having
camo.
me.
Camo's my favorite color, by the way. Oh yeah. Oh, he's gone. Yes, thank you so much for coming up. Appreciate that. It's always nice to see that we can actually have an effect. Wrong live. I'm a conservative. I mean, hang around here long enough and you might not be anymore. Uh-oh. Who's up next? Quee's up next. I'm gonna just skip over you. Sorry, Quee. I'm gonna go to the next person. They've been waiting a long time. Hello. Lisa. Are you still there? Lisa, hello? Testing, 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna count you out like in boxing. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm sorry, Lisa. I'm gonna disconnect you. We're gonna bring up the next person. She's sleeping. I thought I heard snoring too, but I kind of thought that was just like my voice coming through on the other side. All right, I'm gonna accept Nick up. Nick, how's it going? How old are you? Who are you gonna vote for?
I'm 22, and I'm probably going to vote for the Conservatives.
Right on. All the young men voting Conservative. Stephen Huard, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it.
Yeah, like, well, from what I've been...
And why,
like,
sorry, is my last question. Yeah, so go ahead.
Yes. Like, just from listening to what you're saying, like, I'm getting that you're not supporting the Liberals really at all.
No, absolutely not.
And, which I'm in, like, same boat, really. And, so, like, we just really need to change the government. But, like, I don't know, I'm kind of new to politics and stuff, right? Like,
yeah,
I only just started getting to them a couple months ago, but just everything that the Conservatives say, and like, you can't really trust politicians anyway, right? Like, they're all
especially
kind
this
of
man
in
for
their own like agendas and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that the NDP would do any better.
Chantal,
do better than Conservatives would. I just feel they would like bank the country.
We have to examine legislation, right? So what legislation has the NDP passed or helped get passed in the last 2 years versus what legislation was passed by the previous Conservative government? Because we had a Conservative government for 10 years.
10
and
a lot of people say it was better times.
Yeah, I mean, people say a lot of things, to be honest. Where are you located? Are you in Alberta?
No, I'm in Nova Scotia.
Oh, okay. Oh, now I hear it. I mean, your conservatives out there aren't exactly conservatives. They're not.
No, it's definitely different.
They're more moderate for a conservative. And I mean, to an extent, Doug Ford as well is too. But even though I have a lot of criticisms for the Doug Ford Conservatives, they are definitely not as bad as like the United Conservatives in Alberta, for sure. Sorry, that was disgusting. It's getting too late at night, and I'm losing my train of thought. You just sparked something up. That was hot. Sorry. Yeah, I should have muted my microphone. That was gross. Like, I mean, the Pierre Poilievre has only passed one piece of legislation in his career. He's been around for 20 plus years as a member of parliament. And the only piece of legislation that he's ever passed was actually it was repealed because it's unconstitutional.
Oh, okay.
And that was because it was basically to reduce the amount of people that could vote. So it was essentially to make it harder to vote. It removed something called vouching, which is if you have a piece of mail with your name on it and a friend that can vouch for you with legitimate ID, then you can vote that way. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no reason to remove that. But if you look at NDP, so in the last 2 years, either proposed by and passed by the NDP or with their help, we now have dental and pharmacare, which is something we should have had decades ago. People have always been saying, like, dental should be part of healthcare, right? Pharma should be part of healthcare.
Because I have a different kind of view on the healthcare whole thing. Like, because I don't know, I just honestly feel that we should have to pay for the healthcare. Because I like, just if you've seen some of the hospitals that are down here, I'm just from like small island in Cape Breton.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that take advantage of the healthcare system that don't need to be there and they're taking up beds for actual sick people is insane. And they're only there because it's free and they can do that. And like, I don't know, I just felt like if we had to pay a little bit.
They're probably there for maybe things like I work in healthcare, so I know what you're talking about.
So do I.
There's people that come in that have like a cold where maybe it's not necessarily necessary for them to be in emergency, where they could go into a walk-in clinic. So healthcare is provincial. It's under the provincial mandate. And so the people that are in charge of that are your provincial government.
Okay.
And so you have a conservative government there. I have a conservative government here in Ontario. I don't know enough about Nova Scotia to tell you, how it is. But I know here in Ontario, and I get all of my information from the FAO, which is the Financial Accountability Office of Ontario.
Okay.
So they're a third-party independent group that looks at information, and they come out with reports based on government spending in Ontario, provincial government spending. So we have a $21 billion shortfall in healthcare in Ontario. So we're missing $21 billion that we will need to cover our needs in healthcare. We have a $2 billion shortfall in education. Good night. Wow. Have a good night. Thanks for coming out. Cynthia, thank you for the follow. Meanwhile, Doug Ford and his conservative government have been funding private institutions, and their stats on this, they're paying 4 times the amount. Robbie, thank you for the follow. They're paying 4 times as much for an MRI to a private clinic than they are to public.
Oh, okay.
And
I don't know too much about Doug Ford, to be honest. From what I hear, the guy's kind of an idiot. But
I mean, I'll agree with you on that.
I don't know. I don't know too much, though, to be honest. I don't really.
Yeah, I mean, probably not the worst. When it comes to a conservative, probably not like the worst possible situation you could be in. But that being said, he's not the only person there, and what they're doing as a government, as a conservative government here in Ontario, is they're basically taking our public money and using it to subsidize private institutions, things like private healthcare. There's the Ontario Place we used to have in Toronto. It was shut down, and now they're putting in a private spa, and they're giving them all kinds of money in order to do that. And so they're basically using our public taxpayer money, APO, thank you for the follow, to subsidize these private institutions.
Yeah, like I don't think that's cool.
And that's one of my biggest beefs. They've also cut social programs, most notably autism support here in Ontario. That was the big one that got them in a lot of trouble when they first came in.
So I wouldn't be cutting that, but I feel like a lot of the programs that they have now, just like there shouldn't need to be so many programs for people to like get extra money. Not for like people if they have disabilities and they need help for that. Sure,
That's
they
what
should
they're
be able to
cutting,
get
though,
help
yeah.
for that. Yeah, and that's not cool. I wouldn't agree with that. But like so many of these programs that for like I know there's more up in Ontario to get more programs, but down here we're getting like these rebates and random ass shit. But like I just don't think we should have those. Like people should be able to make enough money to where that they can actually be able to afford. And I just felt like from what I see and I understand from just being new to it is that if the NDP got in, that's what they would be also wanting to do. And that's also then it makes it seem like like you're broke all the time, but I just have to wait for this next government check comes out next month. So, I'll be able to get it.
Yeah, no,
but
so
if
it's
we could
not,
actually
I know what
make
you
our
mean.
own money.
I know what you mean, and it's not like an increase to welfare.
I don't
Which
agree with
also,
that.
like, ODSP in Ontario should be doubled. It's not enough. It's like $1,300 for a single person, which is not enough even to get like a studio bedroom. I go around and knock doors for the Ontario NDP, and I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of folks feel ignored. Seniors feel ignored. People that are on ODSP feel ignored.
What's ODSP?
Ontario ODSP is like Ontario Disability Benefit.
Okay.
So it's like if you're unable to work, you get ODSP so that you can survive, but you can't survive off of it. So
crazy.
One guy I was talking to, he pays $800 for rent. He gets $1,300. He pays $800 for rent. He pays his own electricity, his own gas, and he barely has enough left over for groceries. And the price of groceries are also going up, right?
Yeah.
And I would love to see tax relief for the middle and lower classes, right? 100%. And so does the NDP. That is their stance. They're the reason why we're getting a GST holiday. They would make it permanent, and I agree with them that we shouldn't be paying GST on essentials ever.
No, definitely
because
not.
it's what's called a regressive tax. It disproportionately affects those with less money. So if you make a lot of money, you have a lot of money. The amount of GST that you pay doesn't affect you as much as somebody that barely makes any money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big union man myself in more ways than one. I'm big really and a union man, and I'm big on unions. I think that a big problem that we face is corporate greed.
Yeah.
Corporations don't want to pay us. They want to extract every single cent that they can out of us. They don't want to pay us a fair wage so that we can survive. All they care about is profit.
Yeah, definitely.
And and making the most profit that they can possibly make.
Yeah.
And the NDP is the party that is most supported by unions. Because unions understand that they are the labor party, essentially, the party that is pro-labor.
Okay.
And so I'm part of OPSU, which is the Ontario Public Service Employees Union here in Ontario.
Yeah.
And they support the NDP because that's what makes sense for them.
Yeah. And I guess that kind of makes sense for me. But I don't know.
You guys barely have an NDP though, unfortunately. Oh no, Nova Scotia, you do have NDP. It's New Brunswick that doesn't have NDP.
I think there's like they only got like 3 seats, so like we had a conservative majority.
Yeah, I covered the election, yeah, but the NDP definitely gained seats. I think they have I think they have over 10 now, where they didn't before.
Yeah, I think it's actually 9. I think that's the number.
You're gonna move to the U.S. We're gonna be super sad about that. Don't do that. In Nova Scotia, the NDP is a lot stronger, definitely, than in New Brunswick. The Liberals only won 2 seats, but the NDP won more. Let me look it up. I think it was over 10 for sure. I think it was 12, but don't quote me.
Sure.
Not yet. Not until I look it up. I'm getting this from CBC though. Oh, they got 9. They got 9. Oh, okay. Sorry. So I misspoke.
But the Liberals are definitely done. And
yeah, they're done in Nova Scotia. Yeah.
I guess we'll see federally if it'll be the Conservatives or the NDP probably.
Yeah, I mean, if there was an election today, there's a 99% chance that the Conservatives would have a majority government.
And they just speak what the actual people are wanting. Because, like, I know so many people down here, small town, working, barely affording to get by. But when you think 10 years ago when the Conservatives were in, you had parents. My mother raised 3 single kids, just working a minimum wage job. And she was able to do that. But now, as a single person, you can barely even live to rent, you know what I'm saying? And it's just the price of groceries and everything, it adds up. So people just think,
what really, like RL is saying in the comments, what really hit us was the pandemic. It was the largest transfer of wealth upwards that's ever happened. So the billionaires made trillions of dollars more during the pandemic.
Yeah. And I just don't think it was really handled too well afterwards, because, I mean, we've got down here, the international, the crisis is we have people that live in 2-bedroom homes with 25 people. No joke. And it's just insane. There's no really jobs. There's no houses going around. There is houses to be sold, but they're crazy prices. The prices.
Do you know how many empty houses we have in Canada?
I think I heard you say that earlier, 1.3.
Yeah, it's over 1 million. I don't know if it's still 1.3 because there's been a bunch of vacancy taxes introduced. You also have places like Airbnb where people are buying up houses, multiple houses,
and they use
to run a business. Yeah, that's taking houses away from regular working folks that just want to have a house.
But then for some people, it's just a way to actually make money and survive. You know what I'm saying? So
right. So we shouldn't be forced into that situation, which is why corporations should actually be paying us what we're worth.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm going to get into a bit of communism here, communist theory. But Marx had a theory called the labor theory of value. And so to give you an example that's truly Canadian, if you look at Tim Hortons, for example, a person that works at Tim Hortons, right? They work all day, and they bring in thousands of dollars of profit for the company, right? Somebody working, making coffee at the front, right? They I'm gonna get a little bit into communism here, yeah. I mean, it's gonna happen eventually here if you watch here long enough, but so they bring in thousands of dollars for the corporation, and they're taking home about $100 of that.
Yeah.
So their labor has generated thousands of dollars worth of wealth, but they are only getting $100 of that.
Yeah.
And so that's what the labor theory of value basically is that we as working folks are not getting the value of the wealth that we generate through our labor. We're not getting the lion's share. It should be the lion's share. I don't like if we weren't to go to the extreme, sure, Tim Hortons should keep something from that because they maintain the building. Well, they don't actually. They pay somebody to do it. Right, and they have costs, et cetera, but I don't think that they should be taking the lion's share of the wealth that's generated through the labor of the workers. I think that the workers themselves should be benefiting from the wealth that they generate. That's if you were to boil down my ideology, that would be basically it. Is that I believe that working people deserve more.
100%. I think everyone would agree with that.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that really like their boss, I guess, and want them to make more money than them.
Because I was in the same. I worked for a restaurant, and I was so invested into the place and the company, and I would try to save as much money as I could and try to keep the I was a supervisor in the place, so I tried to keep the place so labor costs down low as crazy and save every dollar to make the company money.
Yeah.
And like once I got out of that place, I realized I was absolutely crazy because why was I doing this?
Yeah.
For not getting what I was worth. But yeah, I don't know. Like I agree with that. I do. But like I don't know. I at that point I was so invested in the place and I loved the place so much.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with taking pride in your work.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
One of the things my father instilled in me when I was growing up is to be proud of what you do, to be proud of your work, and to take pride in what you do. There's nothing wrong with that, but we should also be compensated properly, I think, and that's why I'm so big on unions, is because when we're united as working people and say we form a union, we're able to bargain on the same level as the owners, essentially. Because we have that ability to remove their labor, right? So now we're bargaining at the same level. And so that's the big thing, is that we can bargain collectively and bargain to get better wages and working conditions, which is working. People always say, oh, they're striking for pay. They're striking to get more money. But a lot of times they're striking just to get better working conditions.
100%.
Like, with the CUPW strike, the postal workers, they're bargaining for better working conditions and to not have to gigify their work, and like force part-time people to work on the weekends for less money and less benefits. So I mean that's a big thing to me, is that I just think that we need to unite as working folks, in our respective fields. Talk to your coworkers, form a union, bargain collectively, and things improve. Profit sharing should be more available. Absolutely. I mean, if you were to really go to the extreme of my ideology, I believe that the working people are the ones that should own the means of production. And what does that mean to me? I mean, I believe everybody should be a part owner of the factory, instead of there being one person that owns the factory and makes the lion's share of the profit off of it. It should all be divided amongst the people that work there, that are actually generating the wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I think unions are good good in a sense, but I also think they got their bad parts where if you're the laziest worker there is,
that's always. I knew what you were gonna say. That's always.
You can't get fired, right? And there's tons of those.
You can 100% get fired. I'm a vice president of my union, and let me tell you, people still do get fired for not. Doing their job.
Definitely can. Definitely a little harder though than just fire them, but.
Yeah, but it's because they're protected, right?
But they are
protect
good,
all workers, not just the quote unquote lazy ones.
Yeah, that's true.
I would
and
much
that's
rather
good,
that
it kind of sucks to the good workers.
No, they're still being protected, and I mean, if you're not doing your job, you can still get fired for that, right? There's something called management's rights. When you're bargaining collectively like that, and so the management still can dictate what you are doing for your job, and if you fail at that, you can still be fired.
Yeah.
So, I do understand what you're saying, and I do know that is definitely a talking point that is repeated a lot.
And it definitely happens. It definitely does, because where there's some places some people, it just doesn't happen as often where people are getting fired. So you could have one person
because they're more protected. Like people are more protected.
Yeah.
In a union, but that's a good thing.
And it would just suck
even
for the
if
good
it's people
work.
That you don't like.
Looking at somebody not doing as good as them and making the exact same. You know what I'm saying? That's my point there with that.
Yeah, but you can't bargain individually as good as you can bargain collectively. And union workers make 28% more than non-union on average. So.
Yeah, true.
And for women, it's even higher because there's a gender wage gap. So unionized women make 31% more than non-unionized.
True.
But yeah, I think I'm gonna let somebody else up. But I appreciate you coming up, and I appreciate hearing your perspective. I think this is probably one of the best talks that I've had this stream, where we started from a point of disagreement.
Yeah, right on.
And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. K-Co Beauty, thank you for the follow.
Yeah, cheers.
And hang around. I'll definitely have you up in the future as well too. So
yeah, cheers.
Have a good one. So who should we vote for? Me. Vote for Small Town as Prime Minister. Everybody just write in Small Town Lefty on your ballot. Draven, we've already had you. Robbie McKay. I can probably do one or two more people.
Hi.
Hey, what's up? How old are you? Who are you voting for, and why?
I am 23. I live in Miramichi, New Brunswick.
I know somebody that lives there.
Do you actually? That's awesome.
Yeah, my little brother.
Oh, sick. Honestly, my riding where I am, Miramichi Grand Lake, it's one of the biggest ridings in the province.
Yeah.
Jake Stewart is our current MP. I don't know who he's on the Conservative side. He was a minister in the Higgs government for Aboriginal affairs.
Okay.
He's gonna definitely win. No case to it.
So he was an MLA and now he's moving to MP?
He is an MP currently. He won in the last election, yeah. Currently, I don't think Pierre Poilievre should be our prime minister. I don't believe in his rhetoric, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think
you're in good company.
He's not helping. He's not helping in the House of Commons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, all it is axe the tax, and it's just pass something. They're not doing anything in Parliament, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I would vote NDP, but the NDP doesn't have any holding here.
Yeah, in your area.
In my area, in the province in general. The only time that there was a third party that got in was in the 2019 election Jenica Atwin. She was in the Green Party, and then she flipped over to the Liberals. So it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, my brother was saying that there wasn't even an NDP candidate in his area. So
no, there isn't. I mean, even in the provincial election, there was only two. Like when I voted, there was only two people that were on our ballot. I mean, in New Brunswick, we had the People's Alliance. So when Higgs first came into power in 2018, there was a minority government situation where the People's Alliance was this is provincially, but the People's Alliance ended up getting 3 seats, and the Liberals had lost that election. They couldn't form government, so Higgs had his first mandate in 2018, and he was able to get a confidence vote passed or whatever. But yeah, I'm disappointed in the Liberals, I have to say. Like I was always a big Trudeau fan, and like, you know, I believed in what Justin Trudeau had. I mean, I've only voted in 3 elections. I'm only 23, so
yeah,
that's one of the big things for sure. But yeah, what do you think? Do you think that?
I'm not a fan of Trudeau. Good night, Sarabi. Thank you for coming out. We can explore your thoughts on unions more in depth another time. I like your point that I saw in the comments about when it comes to kids and seniors. So yeah, I would definitely like to explore that further. But yeah, thank you for coming out. Appreciate it.
One of the things that I'm like kind of iffy about is this whole tax break.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not doing enough.
How so?
There should be more things that are taxed, not taxed.
Yeah, I agree.
And
there's definitely more things that are essential that could be.
And I believe that the checks that are coming out in, what is it, February, they're saying, or from the new year, it should be based off of the more so for more of the middle class. I'll give you an example. So in my father, he works, I'm the oldest out of 3 kids.
Yep.
There's me, and I have 2 twin brothers. They're off in Fredericton University. Very nice. Then my mom, she works seasonally, and my father, he works at a mill. My father works a lot of overtime because things are so expensive.
Yep.
He would not be eligible for that tax break or the check that would come in. Well, he would be eligible for the tax break because everyone is, but you know what I mean? Like come the time that the check comes, he's not going to get it. I don't think that's fair.
So he makes over 150,000.
Working overtime, yeah.
Okay, dang.
And he's still struggling.
Yeah, well, no, I only make about 82 in most years, and I feel that like I own a house, I own a car, and after everything's paid, especially with everything going up, it's
for me right now. I'm in a situation where I've been working 2 jobs for like the last 2 years, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just trying to get ahead. I'm a diabetic. Insulin should be free, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Medical 100%. Supplies should be free. But the reason why I want to go back to school, I want to do all these things, but right now with the situation that's going on in this country, you can't get ahead.
No, yeah, for sure. I think the pandemic definitely didn't help with affordability.
No, absolutely not. But also, the government should be stepping in a lot more to help people. It doesn't feel like
the problem is that the mandates that they have. So the federal government, most things that actually affect our day-to-day life aren't under the federal mandate, unfortunately. And so, yeah, what happens is a situation like what happened in Alberta, where the federal government was essentially saying, we're not going to send any more federal transfers if you're not going to spend it on healthcare. So that's the only power that they have. It's kind of like trying to push a rope. Do you know what I mean?
That's fair. Healthcare needs to be funded.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially in this province.
Yeah.
In this province, it's really bad.
Yeah, no, I've heard I've heard that New Brunswick is really bad, and that hopefully things do improve. I know that the Liberals have said they're going to reintroduce rent caps, and there was something else that I saw that I really liked.
They did pass a retention plan for nurses and healthcare
Right. Yes, it
professionals.
was
They get $10,000.
So like those that's taking positive steps in the right direction towards fixing healthcare, right?
Yeah, well, and that and a lot of smaller communities like up towards like Sackville and more so towards Nova Scotia, or
yeah,
you're like, anywhere where the major cities aren't, small local walking clinics are being closed because they're not getting funded.
Yeah, and that's a big problem. And I heard that Higgs was basically sitting on billions of dollars meant for healthcare in order to make himself look more fiscally responsible, from what I've heard.
It's pretty bad. The doctor that he fired from Horizon Health when he was premier won a seat in St. John and is now the health minister.
Okay.
That doesn't say a lot about the state of what Higgs left in the New Brunswick government. Then I don't know what does.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's that's just one of those situations where like it's conservative. It's a conservative premier that's basically destroying healthcare. It's definitely a theme right now. Alberta, Ontario, previously New Brunswick, previously Manitoba, and Saskatchewan, right? And in Quebec too as well. Their government, they're not called conservatives, but they are a conservative government. Do either of you own a house? I do own my house. I just said like 10 seconds ago, didn't I?
What is the party that Legault is in Quebec?
It's called the CAQ.
Okay.
It's the Coalition Avenir de Quebec. It's an amalgamation of some conservative MLAs that essentially left the Conservative Party over a rift and formed their own party. Yeah.
Okay.
So they are still conservatives.
Yeah, they still lean like right, or what is it, left? No, right on the.
Yeah, they're right wingers for sure still. It gets
What do you think about Trump and the 25% tariffs?
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. Now,
what do you think's going to happen come the new year? Do you think that they're going to call a vote of no confidence and we're going to have an election come January?
Federally here in Canada?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. But I think that we're going to have a provincial election in the spring. It's just going to, I think